All right, welcome back in. This is Coach Mark Gottfried on the Coach Mark Gottfried Show, and I have had some unbelievably amazing people join me. But today, I was actually asked a question today. I said, "Who's one of the most favorite players you've ever coached?" And this guy right here, Antoine Pettway, the former standout guard at Alabama, now head coach at Kennesaw State. So, Antoine Pettway, how you doing today?
Coach, I'm doing great, man. I get a chance to talk to my coach, man. So I'm doing awesome, man. We, getting ready to play a game on the road, our last regular season game versus Jacksonville State. So I'm excited to get on here and talk some ball with you.
Talk to me about this one, Pet. So you and I, obviously, we go way, way back and, know you intimately and your family and your parents and everybody around you. But, growing up, your dad was a high school basketball coach. And somewhere in there, that kind of fire got started for you that, I want to be a great player and I'm going to be the best that I can be. But talk a little bit about where that might have came from you and where that started.
Well, like you said, I got to get a credit to my father. He was a basketball coach. So I grew up watching him, pick guys up. We went to, Wilcox Central. So it's one school for the whole county. So he was picking guys up, taking them home after practice, 20-minute drive, dropping them off. But we would always start our day. We grew up on a farm. And so we would be feeding cows that morning at 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock. And then, I'm on the back throwing hay to the cows and then wiping it off, going to school. So, I just saw his everyday sacrifice. And then my granddad and grandmother owned a convenience store in our neighborhood. And, just watching them every single day, just wake up in the morning, open the store up and just grind and just working to make a better life for us. And then I would come home from practice, close up the store, you know what I mean? And then we would all go to my granddad and grandma's house. So just watching their everyday work ethic, baling hay in the summer times, you know what I mean? Then feeding the cows in the morning, but then, having practice and having dropped kids off at their homes. And then we making it back home probably 8:30, 9 o'clock. So it really instilled a great work ethic in me.
Antoine, you had, and when I coached you always had this kind of internal belief in yourself, and some players don't, they kind of lack confidence and you've had them, you've been around and you played with guys like that, you've coached guys like that, but that kind of internal belief system that you've always had it from the very first time I ever met you, you've had it. And that, would that be somewhat coming from your father or just that environment in Camden, Alabama? Talk a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah. He told me when I got to campus, you can't come back here. So you better make it work out up in Tuscaloosa. So, and Coach, I'll be honest, a lot of my, we had big shots to be made. And, I wanted to step up to take the shot a lot of times. And I never really thought about what if I missed. I only thought about not letting the people I love down. Not letting you down, not letting Chuck Davis down, not letting Mo Williams down. And I would try to my best to every game just lose myself in the game and just think about how happy we would be in the locker room. I would say it all the time, man. I'm playing so I can see us celebrating in the locker room after the game. And so I think, I constantly tell my guys that now, lose yourself in the game and just think about your brothers. And that helped me so much. It wasn't a lot of pressure on me because, I just felt like I wasn't doing it for myself a lot of times.
Antoine, some guys, when you look back and you kind of go, and you're starting a new journey as a head coach now, as a Division I head coach. But even as a player going back, some guys just always find a way to win. And that was you. You, even in high school, a lot of people forget, you're a high school state champion. But winning for you, you could tell where winning is what mattered. It wasn't how many points you scored. It wasn't all that other stuff. It was just winning, and that's been a part of you your entire journey of your life.
That's what matters. Nobody remembers who's the leading scorer on a championship team a lot of times. Nobody cares. All you care about those memories you created with your brothers. And I remember going to Terrence Mead's wedding. All us got together, my wedding, and we talk about just that Florida game. We talk about that SEC championship. We talk about going to the Elite Eight, those guys are still some of my best friends to this day. But that, all that mattered to me, and I guess it may be a little different for different people when they, been recruited hard and been ranked high. I was a guy that you invited to walk on there. And so I was just happy every single day to have that Alabama jersey on because I was getting a chance to play for the team I grew up rooting for. So anytime I got out there on the court, man, I was gonna make a memory some kind of way.
I'm gonna share the story now. You and I've talked about this 100 times, but April. A lot of people don't remember this too, and even the Alabama fan. And April of your senior year, you guys already won the state championship. You're a 4.0 grade point average, straight A's. Your father, coached you. And I came down to Wilcox Central, and after watching a workout, I can remember you just sitting there, and you were just ready for me to say the word scholarship.
I prayed all night about that scholarship. I was praying all night. He gonna offer me the next day. I know it.
And I remember saying to you, I said, Antoine, I said, I really would love for you to come and be a walk-on. And I can remember it was like I took a pin and just popped the balloon right there.
You good at me, Coach.
And I remember how disappointed you were, but I also remember saying to you, I said, just prove it to me. Just if you come, just prove it to me, and I'll give you a scholarship. And maybe you and I really never talked about this, but I got in the car and drove back from Camden, Alabama up to Tuscaloosa. But what was going through your mind right away, like right in that first? I know you were hurt, but what was going through your mind a little bit?
I like I said before, the night before, Coach, I'm serious. I prayed so hard. I'm like, when Coach G get in here tomorrow, I'm gonna try to make every shot. I had shot that morning. By the time you and Coach P got there, I had like 3 workouts down there. So I was like making sure I was gonna play really good. And I wanted that scholarship offer so bad. And I had a couple like mids that had offered me. And so like after you guys had told me to walk on, we went home. I talked to my mom and dad because I knew I wanted to be at Alabama. And, we just had that conversation. They just said, if that's where you want to be, we're going to sacrifice. And like I talked about the farm earlier, like I'm so grateful to like, I wouldn't be where I am without my community, without my village. And so like, that whole first year, I didn't realize this till afterwards. But the whole first year to pay my tuition, my dad was selling off cows. I come back home, it's 2 or 3 less cows. I'm like, what's going on? But like, it was time to pay tuition. My dad was literally like, taking cows to the auction to kind of get cash to it. But it's just those are sacrifices that, he made for me. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't be here without those sacrifices. But Coach, you good at me when you said walk on. I was like, you know what? This is where I want to be. This is a part of my story. And I vowed that day that, like you were a man of your word. You said, you show me, just come earn it. And you did it. My sophomore year, you rewarded me with a scholarship. I came into practice every day my freshman year and worked my tail off. I had some great dudes around me. Irvin Dudley was still one of my best friends in the world. He took me under his wing and kind of showed me the way. But like just the everyday grind, I embraced that. And then you, like you said, true to your word, after my freshman year, you called me. I'll never forget, man. I was at my mom's house, laying on the floor, taking a nap. And she said, Coach Gottfried on the phone, we got to get to Tuscaloosa. And I walked in your office, you gave me that scholarship, Coach. That was one of the happiest days of my life. That was literally one of the happiest days of my life.
Well, I'm sorry that I popped your bubble, but I'm happy that it worked out. But I can remember, I remember this, Antoine, and this is such a great lesson for so many young people. And now that you're a Division I basketball coach, you just got to be ready when your name is called. A lot of guys aren't ready. They might sit over there and pout and sulk, and they're not mentally ready. And I can remember a game early in your career, and I don't remember which game it was. You probably remember a little bit more than me, but a couple games into your freshman year, I can remember during the game, I looked at my assistant coaches and I said, "What do you guys think?" I said, you guys want to give Antoine a shot? Let's put him in the game. And they were like, yeah, let's put him in. And what happened, Antoine, is you went in the game and play great defense and boom, steal layup, boom, make a shot. All of a sudden, boom. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, well, heck, I don't want to take him out of the game. I want to leave him in. And now that you're a coach, and I know you've seen kind of everything. You were an assistant coach at Alabama. You started there with me, but then, for so many years. But the lesson of staying ready when your name is called upon. Antoine, you answered the bell, period. And that's a great lesson that you can share with these young guys that you're coaching.
Yes, no question. Like always being ready when your name is called, like being prepared for that opportunity when it knocks. And it's the work. It's the work. Like when I tell you the culture that we had on that team with the Irwin Dudleys, with the Rod Grisards, with the Terrence Mead, with the Tariq Londons, like I had no other choice. Because if you didn't work, you were going to get passed up and you're going to be an outcast. And so, like, I had no choice but to get in the gym every single day. And, like, I had no choice but when my number was called to give everything I had for my brothers, man. So I got to get into the culture that you built at Alabama. Like, we were so connected and we all knew, like, hey, man, forget the name on the back of the jersey. It's about that name across the front. And we here to win and we going to win together.
Mm-hmm. You know, I tell people so many times, I think it was the team that we went to the Elite Eight with. I think it was 2004. And I want to say of our top 8 players, I think 7 of the 8 were state champions in high school. Like everybody was a winner. Like everybody understood how to win. Now you were older then, you were a senior, but that understanding, like what it takes to win the game. Yes. Just win the game. That's it. We have to win this game. And, Antoine, you epitomize that as well as anybody that ever played for me. But that group was that way too. Would you remember that in that same way?
Oh, no doubt, man. Like, Coach, the summer going into that year, because you remember we lost a lot. Irvin graduated, former SEC Player of the Year. Mm-hmm. Mo Williams went to the draft. So, like, we're looking around, and I'm like, golly, man, where all the killers at, man? Like, Coach, go recruit some more, man. But you had Kennedy Wentz. Like, that summer, like, we literally, we fought each other so much. Like, literally, sometimes we fought each other in that back gym. Or we would go to the rec, and it would be so competitive. But, like, we had a sense of confidence. Chuck Davis was coming. I tell him, man, he's on my staff now, Coach. You will be proud. We got Coach Pearson, Chuck. I got a bunch. Willie Watson. I got the crew. We got all us together, man, that you brought us all together. But Chuck had this quiet confidence about himself. He hadn't done nothing up to that point. But you couldn't tell, like, he carried himself like an all-SEC player from the first day he came from Southside Self to Tuscaloosa. But, like, Coach, just the work we put in that summer. And, like, you brought a group of guys together that winning was paramount. Like, it was the most important thing. Like you said, we were all former state champions. We would get in the summertime. We'll be playing video games, bragging about, like, our, bragging rights on who beat who in high school. And, Chuck could never win a state championship because Winston always put him out. But it just winning was always at the forefront. It was never about like stats. We didn't care who was the leading scorer. All we wanted to do was leave out of Starkville with a win, leave out of Auburn with a win, leave out of South Carolina. We just want out of Columbia. We wanted to leave out of there on top, get back on that plane and celebrate together. That's all that mattered to that group.
Talk to me about this one, Pet, because this will be people will love this story. But this speaks a lot about who you are and your character and your competitive nature. So you're at Alabama, and you're getting established. You're doing a good job, and you're getting better and improving. And then all of a sudden, here comes this guy. He's the number 1 rated point guard in the country from Jackson, Mississippi, Mo Williams. And I can remember in the camp in summer times, a lot of times later in the day or during dinner time, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was late in the evening. But, the players, the campers would leave and then all the players would play. Our players would play. That's right. And I can remember the very first day, Mo Williams gets the ball and he's going to play pickup game, like his first pickup game in the summertime before his freshman year. And here comes this guy, Antoine Pettway. You went and picked him up full court, 94 feet, down in the stands, slapped the floor, and said, Talk about, you remember that night?
Yes, Coach. It was. I couldn't wait. The night I could not wait. Like we was gonna play it. That was gonna be like our first couple pickup games. He had just got to campus. I'm like, man, I want to hear I want to see what all the hoopla about. Like I'm picking this dude up full court. He got to show me. And so like it's crazy. Me and Mo talk all the time. We still talk about that. That's what, like again. That's one of my best friends was in my wedding. When he stepped on campus, I was not. I was not relenting. I was just gonna sit down and guard him and every single day. And I said, listen, I may not beat him out, but I'm gonna have to beat somebody else out on the team, and I'm gonna be on the court some kind of way. But we competed, and like it's like the Bible says, iron sharpens iron, and like we never took it personal, but like we would be together all day. And when we got on that court, we literally would tear, like his jersey would be torn to pieces, mine torn to pieces, but we made each other better. And then when we got to playing some other guys, some other teams, like we had already prepared each other for whatever we faced. But Coach, that's funny you remember that. Like I literally the night I had that plan. When he got that ball, I'm right up everywhere he go. Like he gonna earn every. I want to see what this Mickey D's all about, man. Because I'm a 5 foot nothing walk on, wasn't ranked in the top 700, and we brought the #1 point guard. I'm looking like he brought him in over me. No, I'm about to show this my spots. But I was just that naive, Coach.
But the great thing about that, Antoine, is, and it shows for both of you too, and Mo too, and obviously Mo is really talented. But what we ended up doing is we had to play you two together. I had to play you both because I tell people all the time, we all get caught up in positions and point guard, off guard, but at the end of the day, I'm going to play my best players. I'm playing my best players, and we're going to figure this thing out. We'll figure it out, but I'm going to get the best players on the floor, which by then you had established yourself as one of the best players. There was no doubt about it. Did not want to play without you on the court, and obviously Mo was good, and then, through your career with Ernest Shelton and Kennedy Winston and some of the guys we had that were really good, but you created value for yourself in how you played, and that the coach all of a sudden, I don't want to take you out of the game. And if I take you out, it's just to get a blow. But I'm not taking you out for very long. And that, again, was a great tribute to your competitive nature, your character, everything about you.
I appreciate you, Coach. No, that's because, and it's so much like watching you and do what you did with us, and now me going through this journey as a head coach. Like we want to win. Like so I don't care. Like we'll play three small fours if we need to, but like we're gonna put the guys out there on the court, like you said, Coach, that give us the best chance of winning. So like I totally agree. Like go out there, create value for yourself, make it hard for us to take you off the court. And I always give you credit because like, Coach, I was a no-name walk-on that like you know what I mean? Like you literally like turned around to your city and said, let's give them a try. A lot of places that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? And I don't know if I'm not where I am today if you don't take a chance on me. And so it always went back to not letting the people down that you love, that believed in you. And I'm telling like that meant so much to me when I played. Like that literally was at the front of my mind. Like I can't let Coach down. I can't let Mo down. I can't let Erwin Dudley down. Like I want to see a smile on their faces. And when you care about each other that much, man, it is nothing you won't sacrifice and nothing you won't commit to make sure that, you get your goal.
And isn't it amazing too, Antoine, how, good things happen for great people. I've always believed that because you create that for yourself. You're prepared, you're ready, you're going to take advantage of the moment. And here we are in 2002, and we're playing for the SEC championship. And not scripted. It's not something that, coach I didn't draw up a play. I remember, bringing the ball up the floor. Here we come up the floor. And I'm thinking, should I call timeout? Should I not call timeout? And the clock's ticking down. And the winner of the game determines the SEC championship. And all of a sudden, the ball ends up in your hands with a great shot, a great layup. And you concentrate and make the shot. But for you, coming from where you came from, starting your career as a non-scholarship guy, getting a scholarship your sophomore year, and now all of a sudden, boom, here you are. What a moment for you in your life. Talk about that and how that had to feel for you.
Coach, that amazing. So, like, my backstory, like, I grew up watching, James Hollywood Robinson play, Latrell Sprewell, Robert Ory. I watched those dudes on, people won't remember this, but Jefferson Pilot Sports, Saturday morning. And I had a basketball goal hooked up to a light pole or whatnot. And I would go outside after I watched them, and I'm imitating James Hollywood Robinson with the high dribble. So, like, just being a part of Alabama, like, that meant everything to me. And then to be a part of an SEC championship where, like, we're playing Florida. I think Florida maybe 6. We were ranked 8. Like, prime time television game. And, the ball just luckily found me. James White, McDonald's All-American, Flight White. I remember he was guarding. Mo Williams, he had the ball. Coach, I kept easing to the goal. I'm like, this dude really don't see me. And Ernest let it jumped out of bounds, threw me the ball, made the layup. And you don't know this about that shot, though. So when I made the layup, everybody think I was running back down the court celebrating. No, you were on me all week about getting back versus Florida. Like, you don't need to be down there trying to rebound. You're 5 foot nothing. Like, get your butt back. Like, get back. So everybody think I made the layup and start running toward the shooting section. No, I made the layup, and I'm like, I got to get back. So I sprint back, and Coach literally, man, as I'm sprinting back, I'm looking back, seeing if they're going to throw the ball over my head. Somebody from the student section just wipes me out. Like they storming the court. I'm like, oh, my God, the game's over. But, like, that memory there, man, like, those are the memories. That's what it's about, man. Like, being able to, like, have, Mike Adams. You know what I mean? I remember hugging Mike Adams after the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, like, you never forget those moments, and seeing the court get stormed at Coleman Coliseum and knowing we were the regular season SEC champs outright. Like, that was a dream come true. You know what I mean? That's the universe I grew up cheering for, rooting for. And now I just made the game-winning shot to get us a ring in 02. Like, you can't write a better story than that.
No, you can't. And but that's because of your character, Pet. So then there were so many moments. I could go back to 100. I could go to 100 moments, but I'm going to jump ahead now. I'm going to jump ahead to 2004.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of people, Antoine, they don't remember, but that team in 04 at Alabama, we didn't have a great record, and we played well in most games, but sometimes at the end of the game, we just ended up on the short end. And I think our record, even going on Selection Sunday, I want to say we might have been 16-12 or 17-12.
17-12, I think. 17-13. It was one of those, I think.
Yeah. And I can remember we were one of the last teams that were announced for the NCAA tournament, the greatest show on earth, March Madness. And we're sitting there on the edge of the seat just waiting and waiting and waiting. Are we going to get in? And we're kind of that team that's on the bubble, and boom, here we go. Alabama Crimson Tide, and we're in the tournament. And I think that we knew we were good. We just kind of came up short, and we just needed a chance. Just give us a chance, and let's see what happens. Do you remember it correctly and similar to that in your mind?
Yes, like we had a stretch where I think we lost either 3 or 4 games straight. But then to get into the tournament, I think we may have had maybe the number 1 strength of schedule or something like that year. Mm-hmm. Like I remember we go to Mississippi State when they were they were number 1 in the country, top 5 in the country with Lawrence Roberts, that bunch, and Kennedy Wilson just plays out his mind. But our backs were against the wall. Like, we had to go find some wins because we had dropped a couple games at home. Winston goes crazy at Mississippi State. They're a top 10 team. Then we go to Auburn, beat Auburn. Winston goes crazy. Ernest plays well. Like, we had a couple big-time signature road wins. So we had played a good schedule, even though our record didn't reflect, a lot of wins. And so once we got in, we knew, like, hey, man, we've been tested. We've been battle tested all year. We got the ingredients. We're going to come in and we're going to fight. Like, anybody we play, they know they're going to get a fight from the Crimson Tide. So once we got in, we felt a little confident.
And we had to go to Seattle, Washington. We played in the old Key Arena in the first game. And I used to tell everybody, Antoine, I don't know if I ever said it to you guys, but the 8-9 seed game in the NCAA tournament, it's kind of like the booby prize game, because you're going to play that game, and if you win it, then you got to play the number 1 seed. And so here we go, our first game. We're playing Southern Illinois University. They had a really good team out of the Missouri Valley Conference. And
Matt
again,
Painter,
this is one – that's right. Matt Painter was the coach. Mm-hmm. And it came right down to the wire. And again, Antoine Pettway, the guy that started off his career as a walk-on, the guy that was, fighting and scratching for everything he got, all of a sudden it's you again. And you have that little floater right in the paint with about 3 seconds to go in the game. We're down 1, bang, and you make that shot and put us up 1 and give us that first win in the tournament. How about that night? Was that unbelievable?
Oh my God, Coach! It was so spectacular. I remember going to Winston because I hadn't had a great game. Because Matt Painter, they pressured you 94 feet. I remember getting ripped. Their best player was guarding. He ripped me and got a layup. I'm like, oh my goodness, what are you doing? And I remember going up to Winston. Hey, Winston, they're going to W. Throw me the ball. I am going to make sure we play again. And he drove and got double. He threw it to me, floater, man. And like I just remember like just watching me. Emmett Thomas, him, Chuck Day, we all just started embracing each other right after that shot, man. Because we knew you had voiced that too, is what you just said. Like that 8 and 9 game, that's a rough game. Like we were playing a really good Southern Illinois team that had won a lot that year. They were the 8th seed, we were the 9th seed, right? And so we knew we were gonna have to give everything we got. But then we had a chance if we beat them to play the number 1 overall seed in Stanford. And that's what we wanted. We were licking our chops to get a piece of Stanford.
Here's what I remember too, Antoine, because I don't know if you remember this or not, but that was the same weekend in Alabama as the spring football game. So we didn't have anybody there. There was nobody in Seattle except for our families and our parents.
Yeah.
And it was about 20. We had about 20 fans, and we're in Seattle, Washington. I remember coming back to the hotel, the Grand Hyatt, downtown Seattle, and we came back in the hotel after we'd won. And the guy that was running the hotel, the general manager, he had all the hotel staff with red and white pom-poms, and they were cheering for us because we didn't have any fans. You remember that?
No fans.
It was only us.
I remember that.
Only us.
I remember that.
So Here we go. Here we come to the next game, and here's one of my memories, and then I want you to kind of tell me a little bit how you remember that. But we're playing Stanford. They're the number 1 team in the country. They were the one of the 1 seeds, so they were 30-1. They were the best team in the country. Their only loss was late in the season at Washington. Anyway, they're 30-1. So we're playing them at halftime. The score is 39-36. We're down 3, and we're feeling like, all right, we're right here. We're good, and we can beat this team. That's what we're thinking. We came out and started the second half, and we missed our first 17 shots. We went 0 for 17 to start the second half. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Like we couldn't buy a shot. And they were great shots. It was Ernest, Winston. I had a couple looks. Chuck got a couple down low. We could not buy a shot. And you saw the lead balloon to 13, 12. The lead just kept growing and growing. I'm like, oh my goodness. So but go ahead, Coach. It gets better.
Well, I remember a timeout, and we were struggling. It's just one of those things. The ball would not go in the basket. It didn't matter if it was a wide open shot or not.
It didn't matter.
And I remember in that timeout, we came out of the timeout, and we had talked about we have got to come together. We got to get this done. We're going to do it. And we're staying positive, and we came out of a timeout, and you stepped up, bang, 3-pointer. And and then Ernest Shelton, bang, another 3-pointer. And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, here we come a little bit. And now we started to play a little bit once we kind of got past that point.
Yep. And then, Coach, like the momentum. So we didn't have a bunch of fans out there, but you know how I go to the tournament. Once we started getting it rolling, the whole arena started cheering for Alabama versus Stanford. And so it was amazing, man. So I hit a 3, Ernest hit a 3, Winston started hitting this, got it going a little bit. And then, it was a big battle between him and Josh Childress. And so I think one of the last couple of plays to end the run to kind of give us the lead, he fouled Josh out. And he just started clapping in his face, and we just knew right then, yeah, it's our game. And we had the whole, we went from not having any fans there to the whole arena was cheering. It turned into a home game at Coleman Coliseum. And man, that's, again, those memories. I remember after that game, us knocking those dudes off, beating the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. And I remember Chuck Davis going over to the band, directing the marching band and everything. It just, man, it was spectacular. I remember seeing that same group, Ernest, mom and dad in the stands going crazy. I remember seeing your family, Coach Pete. It's just man, those memories just awesome, just awesome.
How was it coming home back to Tuscaloosa after that win? Now the great thing people don't realize is when you advance to the Sweet 16, you play the first weekend, and then you got those couple days back at home. You get to practice and kind of get regrouped before we had to head back out to Phoenix. So talk about when we came home back on campus. How did that feel for you?
Oh, that's what college athletics is about. Because I'm telling you, we weren't walking on campus. Because the whole hoop squad, we were floating on campus. Like, you couldn't tell us nothing, man. We were right. Like me, Ernie, we were living in the Ferguson Center. We'd go to class and all of us just walk to the Ferguson, man. We were listen, we were floating on campus. And then I'll never forget this. You probably remember this too, Coach. When we flew back in, I think it was late. Well, I'm sure it was late. We flew back in, and Walt Gary was right there in the
That's right.
in the parking lot waiting on the bus to pull up. And man, he gave us him and Miss Gary gave everybody the biggest hugs. And like, man, that's just, that's what it's about. But that whole week, because I think we didn't play again to that next Friday, I think. So we were back on campus Monday through Wednesday, Coach. You talking about we were the men, we ran Tuscaloosa for that week. I promise you that. But it was awesome, man. That's, like you said, we flew back after we won that game, and just to see the couple of people that was out there waiting on the bus, and then got a chance to fellowship with the students that whole week. Like, they gave us momentum going into that Syracuse game that next weekend.
So now we're in the Sweet 16. We're playing against the defending national champions in the Syracuse Orangemen in Phoenix, Arizona, right where the Suns play. And I can remember we felt good because they were going to zone us.
Yep.
And with you and with Ernest and Kennedy and then Emmett Thomas, we felt like they can't zone us. They're not going to be able to zone us. They just can't do it. But tell the story, Pet, of right before the opening tip. We just broke the huddle. What happened?
Coach, I'd never forget it. Like you would always just motivate us and just give it that little extra you know what I mean? So we getting ready to go out to the tip, the starting five. We getting ready to go out there to tip the ball off. You bring us back and you say, hey, come here. Look down there. I don't see no blank Carmelo Anthony. Let's go win this game. So we looked down. When you said look, we all look. I don't see no blank Carmelo Anthony. Let's go win this damn game. Oh, my God. That's all I had to hear. That's all, man. We tipped that ball up, Coach. It was bang, 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 bang. Like, we just got going. But again, that spoke to that quiet confidence we had. Yeah, we were the 9 seed playing the defending champs. But you knew what you had. You looked at us and you knew what we needed. Like, you had a great feel for that group. And so when you looked down there and told us, man, that just gave us that extra like, man, we about to give it to Syracuse. I remember, we came out. Ernest hit a 3. I hit a 3. Winston hit like 3 of them. And I just remember they ended up going away from that zone late.
That's right.
And we got into our, I can't remember what we called it. It was high post, but we got into our flex a little bit. Where I was down the screen. 4 flex. And I started setting screens for Chuck. And, man, Chuck just dunked out the dunk. Once they got out that zone, you looked at me, I looked at you, we looked at each other like, we got them now.
Over.
It's over.
It's over.
Yep.
We got them. Well, I look back on that, and I wish so bad we could have broke through with one more game. I was so happy for Alabama last year; they got to the Final Four. But that team that we had your senior year, that team, I truly believe this. I truly believe we were playing so well, so confident, and that particular year, UConn was just dominant. They were beating everybody by 20, and they rolled to the national championship. But I think if we had anybody else, and sometimes it's just matchups, who's in your bracket, but I think we had a legitimate shot at it if it wasn't for that team. They were good, special. And you got to tip your hat to them.
No doubt, Coach. I don't know how many pros that they have on their roster. Like, they may have had like 8, 9 first-round draft picks that year. I never get first, because we went back and forth. Do I guard Ben Gordon? Does Kennedy guard Ben Gordon? Because I think you guys were worried about the rebounding with me. And so, I think the day of, we were like, Pet, you got it. Coach, I closed out the Ben Gordon, and I was like, whoa. He blew by me and tried to dunk on Evan Brock. I said it's going to be a long night tonight. I had a lot of dudes, I could try to get up in him and be tougher. Coach, I couldn't even get my hands on him. He was so fast. I said, no, it's going to be a long night. I'm going to foul out tonight because I'm not going to watch him go crazy. He gave me 30. I want to say he gave me about 36 that night, Coach, and I couldn't. If it was more time on the clock, it would have been 86. I couldn't stop him. Man. So
I don't think they weren't all on you. I can promise you that. They weren't all on you.
It felt like, but it's like you said, if it was anybody else, I think we had a chance. That team was,
we did.
that was a special group they had.
It was. Antoine, I tell people this all the time because I get asked, now that, I'm a little bit older, I look back on teams and I had great teams, great players, but that team was special. And the biggest reason was because of you. You held us together. You were kind of that, which is really amazing to think of, again, a player that kind of, the start you had your college career and you became a scholarship guy. But, that year you were the kind of the heart and soul. You kind of held them all together. Now, we had good players. Kennedy Winston,
Yeah.
people don't realize how good he was as a college player, by the way. People have forgotten that one. And, Ernest Shelton, who can go, we played Mississippi State home and he gets 36 or 38, against them. And then Chuck Davis and Jamario Davis. And we had good players, Emmett Thomas, Evan Brock, and all our guys. But you had such a great, way about yourself. It doesn't surprise me at all to watch you now as a head coach and see the success you're having and you're going to have in the future, because that's who you are at your core. It's not phony. It's very authentic. But you've been that way your whole life. And anyway, I've always loved that about you. And you were it was just amazing, Pet. You were an amazing. That team, you were the heart and soul of that team. No question.
That means so much to me. Like I said, like just being a chance to be a part of it, like this, I got a chance to live out my dream, and heck, I'm still living out my dream. And like I don't know if I tell you enough, but like I'm so appreciative, and I love you so much for what you did for me. Like let me walk on and then give me an opportunity. But also in my coaching career, like people forget, like you hired me back from Jacksonville State, so like you got me back to the university that I loved and hired me as an assistant coach. So like I'm always indebted to you. Like you've shaped my life. And I think, that's what coaching is about. Coaching is about like having an impact on your players' lives. Like you've had a major impact on mine, both as a player and in my coaching career. So this, but I love you, Coach, and I appreciate you so much for what you have done for me and what you did for a bunch of us. Like I'm just one of the stories. You know what I mean? Like you talk about Chuck, you talk about Wentz, like you impacted so many of us, man. And you always gonna be our coach.
Well, thank you, Pat. That means a lot. That means a lot to me, Antoine. Talk to me about this one, Antoine, because you came back, after your playing career was done, and you ended up back in Tuscaloosa at the University of Alabama as assistant coach. And then, they made a decision on me, and all of a sudden here comes a new coach in there, and Anthony Grant. And then after Anthony Grant, it was Avery Johnson. And after Avery, it was Nate Oates. But you kind of survived through all those people. Yeah. And it's another example of who you really are, because if you didn't have the character that you had, and, you weren't genuine in who you are and all the things that you brought to the table, maybe somebody, maybe they don't keep you. Maybe a new coach comes in and, all of a sudden they bring their own guys in. But it's an amazing thing to think that, you played for me and then you ended up coaching under 3 different coaches, which I'm sure you learned a great deal from all of those guys as well. But again, talk about that for you, because that says a lot about you and your character, that each coach kept you on the staff.
Yeah, no, Coach. Like I mean this, I'm so highly favored. Like God, has had favor on my life through my playing career, my coaching career, because that's kind of unheard of. You go back and you work for your former coach. They made a decision. Then Coach Anthony Grant comes on, and I don't try to get I just generally just be myself. Put your head down, work, run your race, and treat people right. Like that's just stuff I live by. Run your race, work, and treat people right. And Anthony Grant is one of my biggest mentors. Like that dude, he came in and I've been so blessed to learn from these dudes that I was able to work up on. Like Anthony Grant came in and just from a work ethic, character standpoint, it doesn't get any better. It just doesn't get in. He's exceptional. And then Avery comes in. You get to learn more from him. And then I got a chance, the last Nate Oates, and everybody sees what he's doing. Just one of the best human beings you ever gonna meet. Just one of the hardest workers, one of the best basketball minds. And so, like, you go from being, fired, worried about, are you gonna be kept, where you gonna have to go, to like God blessing you and bringing these people into your life. Like, I went from, them get rid of to now they bring Nate Oates into my life, and he influences my basketball mind. He shows me different things that he does, like, and just a fact, now he's one of my best friends as well. Like, and so, like, I just been truly, truly blessed. Sometimes things don't work out, and then you're worried about what's going to happen next, and it turns out better. You just got to have faith. You got to pray. You got to work. Pray, work, and it works out, man. And I've learned so much from that group of guys. You, Avery, Coach Grant, Coach O. Like, you guys have shown me so much that helped me prepare me. Help prepare me for what I'm doing, what I'm going through right now.
Antoine, you had a great run, obviously, and your character is so high that everybody, and you're good at what you do. It's not just your character; you're also very good at what you do as far as coaching and recruiting, and so you added value every time for each coach to want to keep you. And then here we come, all of a sudden there's an opportunity for you, and we all did it. I did it when I was an assistant at UCLA, and okay, here comes an opportunity, and boom, you take it at Kennesaw State. And talk to a little bit about that. And here's the thing too, Pat, like, I remember when I went to Murray State, I was confident, but I was also a little bit, I wouldn't say scared, but you're a little nervous. Like, okay, all of a sudden, This is your shot. Okay, this is my chance, and I don't want to fail. I do not want to fail. But talk a little bit about that for you and kind of becoming a Division I head basketball coach.
Living out a dream. When this opportunity came to the forefront, I tried to interview for it the first time. They hired Coach Amir, which was the right decision, because he was outstanding at Kennesaw, and then you saw what he did at South Florida, and then he kind of built it up, and now coming in on the back end of what he built, I was able to kind of sustain it and keep it going. But I asked the athletic director, I'm so grateful to him, Milton Overton. I met him at Alabama. Like, he was an associate athletic director at Alabama. And again, we didn't have a lot of interaction, but I didn't know he was watching me from afar. Watching me work, giving them ideas on recruiting ideas, watching me, coaching on the sidelines. And so when the job arose the second time and I interviewed, he followed his heart. And I'm so grateful for him, man. And, this place, when I stepped on campus, Coach, I was looking, because I wasn't going to leave Tuscaloosa just for anything. Like, that was home to me. And we had something good going. We were the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. Brandon Miller had just left, Noah Clowney. Both of those guys were first-round picks. And so for me to leave, it had to be something special. And when I stepped on Kennesaw State campus, I met with the president, President Kidd. I met with some other people, Randy. I met with Tamara Smith-Jones. And then, just seeing that family atmosphere, it was close to what I was leaving at Alabama. And I knew when I got on campus and I got to meet people, because, in this day and age, everybody got nice buildings. But it's about the people. It's all about the people. And when I met the people at Kennesaw State, I knew that this was a place for me. And Coach, I love it. My wife loves it. My kids love it. Like, we having the time of our life. We in a great situation. And I love coaching this group of guys that I have. Like, we recruited a bunch of really everyday dudes. They come in, I identify with them. They fight, they believe. That's my DNA. And, like, I'm living out my dream. I'm living out my purpose, living out my dream. I don't have no complaints.
You had the opportunity this year to come and bring your team to California and play at Cal Baptist. It was early, probably your third or fourth, maybe fifth game. I don't know. It was early in the year.
Yeah.
And I was able to come watch you coach. And Pat, I've told everybody this. I've told 25 people this. It's simple. I sat right behind a bench, and I'm watching your team play. And, you're in a tough environment on the road early in the year. You got a really good freshman that's playing early who was really good that night. But what impressed me the most, Antoine, was I sat there and I actually about halfway started to cry, because I was so proud of you, because, players and coaching, so much of it is your players responding to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes players don't. You know, they think their coach is a fraud. They don't believe in their coach. They don't like what they say, and he's too negative. He's too whatever, you know. And sometimes players, especially today, these younger guys, they can turn you off. And I watched your players and how they responded to you and how you coached them. And it was a game right down to the wire, and you guys played it right to the wire, got beat. But I was so impressed with that. And that, as you grow as a coach, which you're going to, and you've already, you know, you've been around great coaches for the last 15, years or so. It's just gonna bode well for you. I think it's just gonna make such an impact. But I was so impressed with how they responded to you, and that, Antoine, it's a tribute to you and how you build the relationships with each guy. Because if you don't have a relationship with them, they're not going to listen to you. They don't want to listen to you. And no different when I coached you guys, the relationship you had. And so, but talk about that from your standpoint, how important that is for you, that relationship you have with all your guys.
Coach, it's so important. It's extremely important to me. Like we wanted to go, we didn't do what a lot of programs are doing, just speed date and go to the transfer portal. Like the guys we recruited, we had relationships with. We recruited out a bunch of them out of high school. And, I want them to know that I love them. You know what I mean? Like, I want them to know that I care about them as men, as young men. I want to make them a better young man as well as a better basketball player. And, I'm intentional about building that relationship with them where they can trust me and they know that, I'm never going to tell you nothing to hurt you. Like we in this together. Like, I got skin in the game, you got skin in the game. We in this together. And as long as we had that mentality, and if we locked in and we tight, we don't care. It's always about us. And so, I just truly believe that, and I'm intentional, and I want them every single day. And I coach them hard. I do. But, Coach, and I said this before, I hit the jackpot with these dudes that I have. They are they embody who I am. Like I said, they fight, they believe, and they love each other. They love me. I love this group. I really do. Win, lose, or draw, I tell them all the time, we together. We win together, we lose together. But we going to go in that gym together. We going to get on this bus together. We together. Ain't nobody, infiltrating this. So, I just always want them to understand that, we're in this together. It's nothing I wouldn't ask you to do that I wouldn't do myself. And I'm always going to be there. And your value is not dependent on if you make a shot or if you scoring 20. No, we love you. We love you. We always going to be here for it. Just like you, you still come to see me play, and I ain't played since 04. I played for you in 04. You know what I mean? You at my game sitting right behind. That's what coaching about. This is why we get into coaching, man, to impact these young men's lives. And that, when I tell you, Coach, I hit the jackpot with these dudes I got in that locker room.
I can tell, and I've always known this about you, but even with your answers, how much you love to coach. And we all love to win. I want to win, you want to win. We all love to win, but there's more to it than just winning. No doubt. Relationships you built, it's like when I go back and see Chuck, and I got to see him when you guys came out, he's on your staff, and Irwin and Rod and Kenny Walker and, Kennedy Winston and Ernest Shell, all the guys, all the guys we had through all those times. Winning is important, but the relationships that we have and you build, it's what it's all about. And I can tell for you, that's a priority. It's just part of your DNA with your players.
No, it's so important to me. I want these dudes to understand that, you didn't come to Kennesaw State to just play basketball for me, and then once your eligibility up, you're gone. No, man. We locked in for life. Just like me, we always locked in because we got memories. We got we done been in the trenches together, and that's what I preach to these dudes when we recruiting them. Man, you're a part of my family now. I want to be at your wedding. You used to always tell her that, I want to be at your wedding. That's the kind of relationship we want to have with these dudes. And I truly feel Coach, when they love you, they'll go that extra mile for you. They're going to run through that door even more, man. And that's what we got on this team. Love wins. We talk about that all the time. There was a Mirrors deal where, love wins. Show to everybody the love. And that's our message to the group. That's been our rallying cry all year. Every chance you get, you show the world how much you love each other, how much we are connected. And, they bought into that. And, I'm telling you, Coach, you know, we in this thing together. We going to Huntsville to make noise with winning a championship on our mind. You know, we're in a good spot. I love our guys' mentality. Like I run to work. I don't want this thing to end no time soon. That's what I tell them in the huddle. Hey, let's not let this end no time soon. And the way we keep this thing going, you win. You win and survive.
You know, Antoine, when we talk about college coaching, there's so many factors, and you're learning this now as a head coach. You know, it's your ability to, you know, the X's and O's. You know, how do you want your team to play, and how are you going to try to score? How are you going to try to defend people? How are you going to take somebody's strengths away? And then there's, you know, things off the court that you're required to do, and you've got a community at Kennesaw State, and they all want to hear you talk, and they all want to hear you speak. But at the end of the day, where I think your value to me, you've got all those things, but your ability to identify talent. And that's the one thing, Antoine, I think in college coaching that a lot of people miss a little bit, because we all need good players. And I can go back, and you may not even remember you said this to me. You had signed, when you were in Tuscaloosa as an assistant coach, you signed Herb Jones. And Herb was from down in somewhere over there near where was he from?
Alabama. Greensboro.
He's from Greensboro. And I remember watching him as a freshman, and I kept saying, you know, he's all right. Like, he's good. Like, he's all right. He's okay. And I remember you telling me, we were in that back gym back there, and you said, Coach, he's going to be a pro. And I said, hold on, man, Pat. Like, hold on, man. Now, slow down a little bit. I ain't sure if I'm going there just yet. But here he is. This guy's, you know, he's had an amazing run at with the Pelicans. But you could identify that, and when you watched him play in high school and when he was younger, and it's such a key part of what you're doing. So you know, you've been able to do it. You called it on him. I'm gonna give you that one.
Yeah, give you that. Hey, Coach, I was right about that. I've been wrong a bunch more times, but Delvin, I take it. But Coach, in a funny story, you remember you used to do the father-son camps back in Tuscaloosa when we were playing. So he has an older brother. His dad's a high school coach. You always have us work the camps, and we get extra. We get paid for it. And so I had to act there in as his father in one of the father-sons camp, because his dad went with his older brother, and then I grabbed him, and he was my little son for the day. And that's we literally met for the first time at our father-son camp when I was a player. So no, Herb is Coach. He's one of those guys with his work ethic. But I always knew he was going to be successful from his family, his village. Like, his dad, high school coach. Mom she worked in education, but his work ethic, like how hard he played. Like, I gave him the nickname Turbo. You know, instead of Herbo, we would call him Turbo, because he just never got tired. It just kept going, man. And Coach, that's some of my fondest memories as a coach. Like, watching a kid like that who was in that recruiting class. We signed Colin Sexton, John Petty, Alex Reese, who's in the pros right now, and then Herb Jones and Galen Smith. Like, watching Herb go from where he started as a freshman to where he finished as a senior player of the year in the SEC. Just a winner, though. Defensive player of the year as well, and then gets drafted 35th overall to the Pelicans. And I'm at the draft party, it makes you tear up, because you see the journey, and you know you're a part of the journey. So that's just so proud of that dude. And Coach, he's gonna keep going, man. He's the kind of player that he wants to be defensive player of the year in the NBA one day.
And he will. And it's interesting that last year when Alabama made the Final Four, and for all of us that have played, people forget I played there and coached there, and so just like you, we're rooting hard for him, and I want him to win. And I wish we could have just cracked through it back in 04, but still, to watch Alabama go to a Final Four, it was so special. And I don't even know if you remember this, but Herb came to the games in Glendale, Herb Jones. Yep. And he's sitting right behind me to my right a little bit, and I reached back and I said, hey, Herb, I want to introduce myself. He said, come on, Coach, I know who you are. He said, I grew up going to your basketball camps, and I was in there in the summertime,
All the time. Yes.
But what a great moment we had, though. I know the players, and, we wish they'd have won the national championship, but, we turned around. We were going to take a group picture, and we had guys from all different generations and kind of age groups, and we turned around there to take a picture, and I thought, here's a camera, here's another camera, and we were in the middle of the Alabama section, and all of a sudden it was a sea of people, and all of a sudden it was like 30 or 40.
Yep.
Everybody's got their phones out. Everybody was taking pictures, and we had older guys, younger guys. We kind of had the whole hodgepodge of players in there. Wasn't that a great moment?
No doubt. That was an awesome moment. Awesome moment of just getting a chance to see, because there's so much tradition there, so much tradition. What Coach Oates is doing, man, is unprecedented. Like he's taking it to a whole another level. And Coach just being able to, like, I had the opportunity to work there and watch him day in and day out grind and get it to where it is right now. But like, blue collar on the court, but like he's got a blue collar mindset as well. That's like right. He show up every single day, and let's get to it, let's get better. Like he's competitive, and that's why you see that program just rising now. Yeah. Like it's literally one of the best basketball programs in the country, year in and year out. And like that's how he's wired. That's just who he is, man. So it was just so exciting, man. And it was like I was just so happy to see like them get to that Final Four with that group. Like Mark Sears, another Alabama kid, from Mustard Shoals that grew up rooting for Alabama, that came back home, and his whole dream, I want to get the Crimson Tide to a Final Four. But just seeing what that program is doing, what Nate Oates is doing there, Coach, that dude's amazing. You know what I mean? Yeah, but that's how he's wired.
Mm-hmm. So exciting for all of us, and hopefully they can make a run this year as well. But Antoine, I just want to tell you, man, thank you so much, not only for being on the show today, but thank you for being just the person that you are. I feel privileged. I feel privileged that I had a chance to coach you and to watch you grow up, basically. So. Anyway, I love you, and thank you so much for being a part of the show today.